hello to you beautiful beings of light and love and compassion. You courageous beings who are on the earth at this time. I appreciate you having a walk with me on this planet. Today I wanted to talk about trust. I've recently had a client ask for some assistance, guidance with how to handle a betrayal of trust. And so that led me to thinking back on my own life, and I have, for the most part, ultimately been alone in some ways in on my time here on this planet. And so I've had two pretty significant relationships. In one of them, I feel like I betrayed trust there, although I was being truthful to myself, and that impacted the other individual quite a bit. So what is betrayal then? Well, betrayal to me is an act of, it's a violation against another person or situation or even yourself, where trust or confidence is undermined or let go of. Where yourself is concerned, maybe there's principles involved, your true feelings, something you have promised yourself to do and not carried through with it. And maybe it's been years that you think about that and go back to it and wonder, when you'll ever get to that. And there are always reasons. I'm not suggesting there aren't. Relationships can be between parents and children, husband and wife, individuals of any relationship, including bosses and significant others, friends, etc. So, what are the things that I feel like maybe are possibilities, or, backstabbing, being false with yourself or that individual or other individuals, unfaithful, deceitful, two-faced, and betraying a confidence. So what does this mean ultimately? When I think of it, I think about trust as a reliance on an individual, your character or their character, that if it's another individual, perhaps you're entrusting to them your deepest thoughts, feelings, desires, troubles, problems, situations, and you're entrusting them to sort of wrap their little heart and fingers around that and hang on to that information for you and not, spill the beans, so to speak, and that you can depend on them for that. How about a person who will follow through, and that you can believe that they will do that, and that you can believe them no matter what they say or do, that they're not going to backstab or begin talking with you about somebody else. And your boss, maybe your boss has promised to look into a wage increase for you or a different position, and you see yourself being passed by, or you see that position being filled by others and never nary a word has been spoken to you. How do you feel about that? If the boss says they're going to do something and they don't follow through on it, that's, to me, that's a betrayal. I'll share a story with you, a couple of stories probably. It's my nature. But my young son, when he was 12, I think it was, maybe was 13, he wanted to go to a an event on a weeknight after school. And I think most parents know that if you're going to do an event, a school project outside of the classroom time, there's a paper sent home so that the parent is aware that they have to give permission for it. Well, that paper never showed itself, and so, you know, I was doubtful right away. And I think a parent also knows when somebody's trying to sneak around the back door, you know, come in the back door. So anyhow, I let this go on for a couple of weeks, and he was just begging and pleading, and finally I said, okay, you know, so I let him go to this event. In fact, I took him, dropped him off. It happened to be a movie as a class project, and promised that there were a dozen kids at least going that had all had approvals. And so I dropped him off and watched him run up the steps all excited and happy, and I went and parked the car. Went and bought a ticket and went in, and there he was. His project was a girl, good-looking, cute little thing, and his arm was around her shoulders. And so I went in and got a popcorn, I think, and a lemonade or whatever. Now, I just walked straight down, looking at the screen, straight ahead, and I went 7 or 8 rows in front of him. I mean, I sat right smack dab, so he had to be looking at the back of my head. Okay, no judgments, just hear me out here. And of course, anybody could imagine that, you know, this kid is shrinking down into his seat. And I watched the movie and then went out and waited for him in the car. And by the time he got there, he was, you know, as hot as a firecracker. And boy, did he go off on me. And he just went on and on about how I had, you know, embarrassed him, and how could I do such a thing, and, you know, didn't he know how important this was to him, and I just let him go on until that little puppy exhausted himself, and he said, you know, you need to explain to me how you could do that, and I looked at him and I said, well, I think you're just a little bit confused. I said, don't think I embarrassed you. I said, what happened was you got caught in a lie and you embarrassed yourself. And I said, and the problem with that is that foundational to any good relationship between you and me and your dad, you and your dad, your teachers, whoever, is trust. And I said, when you do a lie, you're betraying that trust and you're undermining it. It's like you just wiped it right out. The foundation of that good relationship is gone. So I said, here's the problem, is that now, how am I to believe you anytime you want to do something with your friends from school, go roller skating, you know, go throw darts or play baseball or whatever it is you want to do as a group, whether it's, you know, boys and girls together or whatever. I said, how am I supposed to trust you? And I said, that's the situation. And I said, your job now is to restore trust, regain my trust. And I said, for you to do that, you're going to have to, you know, work at it. And I said, I promise I'll listen to you and not, you know, be unfair or unreasonable. So, and it may be that I ask that it happen with other parents, and that you give me that parent's, you know, phone number, and that we have 2 or 3 of those events before, you know, you begin reestablishing trust. So I said, you're a good boy, you always have been, and I hope this is something that you'll take to heart and not, you know, embarrassment for all of us happens periodically in our lives. And I said, if that's the worst of it, then you're really not bad off not regaining someone's trust. That's not good. So, you know, we'll work at that together. Well, you understand what I'm saying here is that, you know, when you break confidence, with someone when it happens to you or when you do it to them. We know it. We have this inner compass. We have this inner guidance system. We have this little bit of wisdom that happens to us. And when we're lying, we sink. That's what he did. He sunk in on himself. He knew he'd been caught in a lie. I told him, I did say, listen, if I wanted to embarrass you, I could have hauled your scrawny, lying little butt out of there. That would have embarrassed you. So I said, I just want you to understand, that's not what this is about. It's not my job to embarrass you. It's to help you understand what you did and the impact, because we don't want that to ever happen in your life. So I don't want that to happen in your life. If you are, my brother, I shouldn't say that. Our family had a couple of businesses, and I was called in to manage one for a while another one was being started up. And during that time, I hired some clerks and that sort of thing. And one of them just had the worst time with confidence. And she was a delightful person and perfectly capable. And my brother one day, this has been a few weeks, we were into the training, and he called me into his office and said, you need to get rid of her. He said, she's just making mistakes and yada, yada, yada. And I let him finish what he was saying, and I just looked at him. I said, look, she knows you don't like her. You come in, you scowl at her, you go into the office, you never say good morning or good afternoon or I'm glad you're here. You scowl at her, and she is pretty much certain you're going to fire her at any minute. And I said, that's my job, but I don't have any intention of doing that. I said, instead, I really think that if you gave her a chance, a fighting chance, let her know you're happy to see her, that she's doing a good job, that you appreciate that she comes in promptly and fulfills her shift. She doesn't miss any time, and you're happy about that. I said, this person could become your most loyal person in the office when I'm gone. And so, the thing I appreciated about him was that he always, if I offered a suggestion, I wasn't going to give up just because, he felt that, this wasn't somebody that was snapping to attention because he said so. And so, interestingly enough, he went home, apparently thought that over, and the next day, because I think he thought he was going to prove me wrong, the next day he came in and he said, oh, I'm so glad to see you. I just want you to know how much I appreciate that you're always on time, that you always, you never miss a shift, that you're, really doing the best that you can, and I'm so grateful that you're here. Do you know that, and he walked into his office and I looked at her and she was crying. And I said, isn't that a good feeling? And she said, yes. And I said, you are not going to be fired. Just keep up the good work. And sure enough, she lasted, I don't know how many years. I think it was several years before she had to move for family reasons, but not because she didn't like the job, not because she wasn't fulfilling her duties. And I think, we all learned a lesson that day, that no matter what the situation, his inclination was to be harsh and cruel, actually, and not determine what it would take to build the trust and confidence and skill level, the skill set that was required. Now I knew she had it in her because that's my skill. But isn't that great that can happen? So I'm asking you to think about whether you are betraying yourself, whether you are stabbing yourself or shooting yourself in the foot, whether you're being unfaithful to your true self, to that aspect of you that knows the truth, that you are a much more powerful soul being, regardless of what industry you're in or what job you may hold. Kindness and compassion and consideration are still worthy traits, characteristics that will go a long way to building loyalty and trust, and not undermining the foundation of what you're trying to do, what we're trying to build. Not everybody is going to operate at the same level, no matter what the industry is. Everybody has a place and a job that they can do. And I've been fortunate in my life, in my early beginnings. I had a job in which I was miserable. I did not know what to do exactly, because once you're in it and you've got rent to pay and groceries to buy and gas to put in the car and all those kinds of things, you're really reluctant to give it up. And I was fortunate enough to have a boss who could see it. And he said, I have found a job for you that I think you're going to like and that you are much more suited for. And he said, I just want you to know I appreciate the effort that you have had to put in order to, make a go at this. But he said, I've got something better for you. And indeed, it was better. It was also one of the lessons that taught me to look and operate outside the box. Just because you had a hole in your roster doesn't mean you have to, fill it with the absolute best person straight out of the gate. This gal took a little extra effort, and I was willing to do that, and it paid off. It panned out in the end, because I didn't want to leave somebody that he was going to turn around and trash. So it worked out. Anyhow, what I'm saying to you and suggesting is, have faith in yourself, faith that you can do the right thing for yourself and for others. You are here as an expression of our Creator. And as such, you have an obligation to yourself and to others to fulfill that expression to the best of your ability. Thank you for listening and for being here. Take that into consideration the next time you're having any kind of a struggle with a situation, and betrayal undermines the very foundation of all good relationships. If you don't take anything else with you, take that with you. And so I want to thank you for being here. Also, my website is listed down below on my Facebook pages. I'm here to uplift, inspire, and to encourage you into a happier, more joyful, a peaceful existence upon this earth. And may we share that walk together. And so if you liked it, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and maybe somebody who's betrayed you, maybe you can patch that up. And subscribe. Subscribing is how we take this walk together and grow together on this planet. So I want to tell you I love you this much. You can't see it. It goes all the way around the planet. And I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Till then.